8 p.m. and here are our top stories in 90 seconds.
When you're standing here and just flipping stuff, your hands are already super hot.
If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. But for these workers, they have no other choice.
This is it. This is our livelihood. We work for ourselves, and it's, if we're not out, then there's no paycheck coming in.
The good news, they only have one more day to bear the extreme heat.
Looks like another day of triple digits tomorrow, but then you're really going to like the changes coming in the 7-day.
A verdict in the trial of Devin Erickson.
We've had tears of sorrow. We've had anger over the couple of years. Today we had tears of joy.
It took only a few hours to find Erickson guilty of all charges.
The quickness kind of puts a point on that and says that, they had enough information that they can make a well-educated decision.
Plus, more technical issues for Southwest Airlines at DIA.
They pulled us into a gate, but what was shocking inside the gate, we got off, the terminal was jam-packed with people.
And it's the eve of the high-stakes showdown between President Biden and Russia's Vladimir Putin.
I'm going to make clear to President Putin that there are areas where we can cooperate if he chooses.
Good Tuesday evening, and thank you for watching Denver7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter. A record-breaking day across the state today. Denver hit 101 degrees, and we could do the same tomorrow. These people had the right idea by staying in the shade or by getting in the water. But not everyone was so lucky finding ways to cool down. Denver food truck workers described the triple-digit heat as downright miserable. Denver7's Addie Guajardo joins us live tonight. Addie, a lot of these food trucks have no choice but to brave the heat in a hot kitchen.
Jessica, that's because a lot of these food trucks don't have air conditioning on the inside. Carreras, the owners of Carreras Tacos here, fired up the grill around 1 p.m. and they're not closing for another hour. That is 8 hours in extreme heat. These triple-digit temperatures could pose a health risk like heat exhaustion or a heat stroke. It's why Josh and his brother tell me they've been taking plenty of breaks and drinking lots of water. The sun is scorching and orders are sizzling on the grill. At Carrera's taco truck,
It'll be $11.97.
Josh Carrera and his brother don't need a thermometer to tell you they're baking inside.
Must be about 110.
They're cooking up their famous Cali steak burrito and tacos.
Super fresh tortillas.
In record-breaking heat across Denver. They're working 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And a hot week lies ahead.
Saturdays are the longest days for us.
16 hours behind a flaming grill. But closing down isn't an option for these two owners.
Our only source of income.
In 2019, more than 700 food trucks called Denver home. Penelope Wong and her sous chef.
Well, our signature items are our chili wonton.
Left their secure jobs to open up Yuan Wonton.
This is it. This is our livelihood. We work for ourselves, and it's, if we're not out, then there's no paycheck coming in.
Rain, snow, or scorching heat, they're open.
We're melting. It's like candles, I guess.
The temperature inside?
110.
3 people work side by side in the popular wonton food truck.
There's no AC.
What keeps them fired up and pushing through the heat?
We've had some amazing people who have said, we understand if you have to cancel the night.
Elvira!
For these owners and their employees, it's all about staying hydrated this summer. Now it feels a little bit cooler outside, but Josh, how's it feeling in here so far? Any relief in sight?
It's a little cooler, but it's still like 90s in here.
Still hot.
Very hot, yeah.
Well, one thing I definitely know is that the steak cheesy taco right here, now this is what I call fire.
Definitely worth the heat, Addie. Enjoy that taco. And we know so many of you are trying to find ways to stay cool. If you don't have AC, we have a list of 6 ways to beat the heat on the denverchannel.com. There you will also find in-depth coverage of where to find cooling stations. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson now, because we still have a Denver7 weather action day in effect. Mike, temperatures are still above 90 out there right now, and people are probably thinking it's time to go to bed.
It's pretty brutal out there. It will cool off tonight, relatively speaking. One nice thing about Colorado with our dry air, the temperatures will drop down decent overnight compared to what they might in the Midwest or the East. But highs today, 104 at Greeley, 103 at Fort Collins, and out at Grand Junction. Scottsbluff hit 105. As you mentioned, it's still in the upper 80s to low 90s outside, and to the west of us, still in the triple digits. The drought, of course, continues to be a huge story, especially western Colorado off into Utah, Arizona, all the way to California. That dry soil, just there's nothing there but the sunshine heating up the air. Eastern Colorado still drought-free for now. We had a couple of thunderstorms around earlier, not much now, and we're having a beautiful sunset at the moment, but it's at a cost because that color that you see out there, that red, is actually wildfire smoke that is filtering in here from the west. So I do have cooler weather on the way coming up in the 7-day forecast and some rain, but you're going to have to be patient. There's still another day or two of the hot stuff.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Mike. Well, thankfully, we did not see any major wildfire activity today. I-70 was closed briefly in Genesee when an RV fire spread to a semi and then to some grass. No one was hurt. The hot weather couldn't stop Colorado's athletes either. The Broncos were out for their first mandatory minicamp practice today. Hikers hit Colorado's trails, and the high school baseball playoffs continued on diamonds across Colorado. Well, it only took a few hours of deliberations for a Douglas County jury to find Devin Erickson guilty on all charges for his role in the STEM School Highlands Ranch shooting in 2019. Erickson faces a mandatory life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. He will be sentenced on September 17th. But today was more about Kendrick Castillo and his family than it was about the man that took Kendrick's life. Today, Kendrick's father, John, spoke about how he will turn to activism to honor Kendrick's life.
Advocating for safer schools so, children aren't harmed, that this doesn't repeat itself. It's fighting legislation that's dangerous, that will release criminals, especially young ones that seem to be committing a lot of crimes.
Kendrick's legacy will be remembered through so much more, too. His name was etched on the NASA Perseverance rover, and a part of C-470 was renamed in his honor. You can find our in-depth coverage of the trial and John Castillo's full remarks right now on the denverchannel.com. DIA has a mess on its hands. Southwest Airlines was forced to cancel flights again this afternoon because of technical issues. Travelers were left stuck on the tarmac or in the terminal.
They pulled us into a gate, but what was shocking inside the gate, we got off, the terminal was jam-packed with people waiting to go out, I guess. They are sitting everywhere. We could barely get through the crowd.
Hundreds of flights have been affected. Southwest says it is investigating the cause. Tomorrow, President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin will sit down for what could be Biden's biggest test in office so far. Tonight, we have new details about the preparations and plans for what each man wants to take away. Here's ABC Chief White House correspondent Cecilia Vega from Geneva, Switzerland.
On the eve of his high-stakes summit with the man he's called a killer, tonight, President Biden sounding confident. Sources telling ABC News the president has been preparing for weeks, receiving briefings at least once a day. The summit expected to last 4 to 5 hours. First, just President Biden and Vladimir Putin, plus Secretary of State Antony Blinken and his Russian counterpart. Later, senior aides brought in.
I'm going to make clear to President Putin that there are areas where we can cooperate if he chooses.
On the agenda, Putin's election meddling, human rights, and cyber attacks, including one that threatened to disrupt the U.S. meat supply and another that triggered gas shortages and price hikes along the East Coast. Among those briefing the president, Russia expert Fiona Hill, who served in the Trump administration and testified in the impeachment trial. She was in the room for that now infamous moment when President Trump publicly sided with Putin over his own intelligence community.
He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
Hill describing her reaction in the BBC documentary, Trump Takes on the World.
My initial thought was just, how can I end this? I literally did have in my mind the idea of faking some kind of medical emergency and throwing myself backwards with a loud, blood-curdling scream into the media.
President Biden says the last thing he wants in Geneva is a spectacle.
This is not a contest about who can do better in front of a press conference or try to embarrass each other. It's about making myself very clear what the conditions are to get a better relationship with Russia.
The last time the two men met, when then Vice President Biden told Putin he had no soul. Now, President Biden telling me he knows exactly what he's walking into.
He's bright, he's tough, and I have found that he is as they say when you used to play ball, a worthy adversary.
And we do know that Vladimir Putin and President Biden are not expected to have any one-on-one time during this summit. That's different than President Trump and Vladimir Putin when they had that meeting, and it was learned after the fact that they met with just translators in the room, no other aides. The Biden team says they are building some flexibility into this schedule, so not every detail is planned, but we do know that at this point, the two men are not expected to have lunch together. Cecilia Vega, ABC News, Geneva.
Cecilia, thank you. ABC News will cut into programming sometime around 5 a.m. our time. We will take their special reports right here on Local 3 and over on Denver 7 when they provide updates.
We are so excited to be leading the effort to put COVID behind us.
Following a year of heartbreak and change, the organizers of Denver's Juneteenth Festival are ready to celebrate.
That's how we all come together to heal ourselves and make this a better community for everyone.
We'll sweat through another really hot day tomorrow, but there's some nice changes coming up by the weekend.
Plus, story.
I think it's just taking advantage of people.
After story.
You're getting your car back. Oh my goodness.
Of shady, predatory towing companies in the metro.
It's bad enough to get your car towed, but then when you get these high costs, now you have to face, do I pay my rent? Do I pay childcare?
But now a bill on the governor's desk will hold companies accountable.